Welcome to the Charter System Foundation, online resource for school governance teams. The foundation was founded on the belief that meaningful change in education can occur only if principals, teachers, parents, and community members are empowered with the authority and flexibility to make decisions at the schoolhouse level to best meet the individual needs of each student. This presentation is made possible through generous donations by the Georgia Healthcare Association, Advocates for Georgia's Elderly since 1953, and by the Georgia Center for Assisted Living, serving Georgia's personal care homes, assisted living communities, and senior living needs. The Foundation continues to build an online knowledge database for sharing ideas and disseminating important information. This module on the topic of roles and responsibilities has been developed in partnership with the University of Georgia's Carl Vinson Institute. Since 1927, the Institute has worked with public officials throughout Georgia and around the world to improve governance in people's lives. Let's begin with charter system and school governance. In 1994, charter schools began operating in Georgia. Legislation allowed charter schools to open as public schools supported by state dollars. In the Charter Schools Act of 1998, the Georgia legislature developed and passed a structure for charter systems. Charter systems were formed to support and increase student achievement. The first four charter systems, City Schools of Decatur, Gainesville City Schools, Marietta City Schools, and the Warren County School District, began operating in 2008. Georgia legislation required that all school boards in Georgia select an operating system by June 2015. The choices were Strategic Waiver School System, Charter System, or to remain status quo. There are now 42 charter systems in Georgia. Fulton County School District is the largest, and Glasscock County School District is the smallest. Each system addresses unique challenges with unique resources, using the privilege of flexibility from state rules to meet the unique needs of their students. These systems began with a 5-year contract between the local board and the state board. As the charter cycle concluded, school districts had the option to renew their charter after completing the review and application process. In March 2017, the State Board of Education passed a new rule limiting charter contracts to no more than 5 years. A charter system is a local school district that operates under the terms of a charter between the State Board of Education and the local school district. The system receives flexibility from certain state rules and regulations in exchange for greater accountability. There is an emphasis on school-based leadership and decision-making. The requirement to have school-level governance is unique to charter systems. The other two operating systems, Strategic Waiver School System and Status Quo, do not require governance teams. The belief is that people closest and most informed about students should be involved in guiding their education. The governance team directs the school towards achieving its mission and makes sure the school's efforts and resources are properly aligned to the school's goals. The school's goals should be aligned to the district's goals and strategic plan. When the charter system model was developed, it was clear from the beginning that the local school board would maintain constitutional authority. The constitutional responsibility was never lost. The superintendent is still the only person who can make recommendations to the Board of Education. What has changed is that the superintendent is now getting some of his or her recommendations from the school governance teams. The intent is for the superintendent to honor the school governance team recommendations when possible, practical, and legal. Now let's move on to school governance, structure, roles, and relationships. The school district organization chart is important to understanding the way a school district guides its work and decision-making. The flow of work and how roles are defined will help you, the governance team, understand your access points to the organization. Much like the Board of Education governs and guides the school district at large in cooperation with the superintendent, An LSGT's job is to govern and guide each school in cooperation with the principal. Principals are highly qualified, highly skilled, and highly regarded. Principals answer ultimately to the superintendent and are the executive officers of their school. The efficiencies that are gained by being a district exist only to support the schools and help students succeed under the guidance of the principals who lead their teachers and staff on a day-to-day basis. At the top of the organizational chart is the Board of Education, whose members are elected by the citizens. The board is responsible for hiring and holding the superintendent accountable. Together, the board and superintendent form a governance leadership team. The governance leadership team performs the following duties: governance, policy development, strategic planning, personnel, board meetings, board and community relations, and finance. The Board of Education charges the superintendent with providing educational leadership, focusing on student success, managing daily operations, and performing all duties assigned by law. The school district employs staff to support high student performance through district services, employing a chief financial officer, providing human resources, and supporting teachers through instructional services. The principal serves as the educational leader of the school and champions high student performance in his or her daily interactions with teachers and school staff. Principals ensure a safe learning environment, advocate for students, and manage the policies and procedures in an individual school. Teachers facilitate high student performance, serve as a role model for students, mentor and nurture students, set high expectations inside and outside of the classroom, and are responsible for creating a positive learning environment. How does a charter system change workflow? In charter school systems, more local control over governance will be given to schools. The authority of the Board of Education will stay the same, but the superintendent will delegate some authority to LSGTs. The LSGT is meant to help the school community work together as a system. The LSGT includes representatives from the school community and functions to increase community input and support. The principal is uniquely positioned as both an executive and as part of the governance structure. As a member of the LSGT, the principal shares an equal role in the decision-making process. As the executive, the principal has full authority to be in charge of the school. The principal will ensure the LSGT has accurate district and school information and, along with the school staff, executes governance decisions. At the school level, the LSGT convenes a group of individuals made up of teachers or staff, parent guardians, community members, students, and the principal to channel their skills, passion, expertise, and resources to help students, schools, and communities succeed. The LSGT shares in school decision-making as a governing body and identifies strengths and areas of need in the school and community. The LSGT provides guidance for supporting high student performance and acts as an ambassador for school and community. As members of the community, the LSGT recruits community involvement, recognizes that operational issues are the responsibility of district and school personnel, and focuses on governance and not school management. Local school governance team members follow LSGT bylaws. It is important for all members of the charter system community to understand their roles and responsibilities. There can only be one principal of a building. Only the principal can give direction to the staff. How each of these groups interacts and informs each other is very important to the success of a charter system. Now let's examine the scope of responsibilities of local school governance teams. The school governance team should be very familiar with the school improvement plan. As the LSGT matures, the membership should be involved in helping to shape the school plan and look for resource alignment to the plan. For example, if mathematics achievement is an area of concern for a particular school, then resources should be aligned to support that need. LSGT members want to look for interventions that impact the overall student body, not just individual students. There should be an effort to focus on interventions that will have long-term impact, not just one-time events. Again, it is important to remember that team members do not give direction to individual staff members. LSGT members are very important to the school as they help to provide direction and support. The LSGT functions with many members, but they represent one voice when advocating for school improvement. If there are areas that need to be addressed, they work with other team members and the principal to collectively address the needs. Focus is on executing the school improvement plan. The LSGT is also involved in the hiring of the principal should there be a vacancy. The superintendent, however, has the ultimate responsibility to recommend the best candidate possible to the Board of Education. It is critical to properly understand the role of a local school governance team. LSGTs must uphold, carry out, and align with the school district's vision, mission, belief statements, and strategic plan in order to meet the needs and build on the assets of the schools and community. Furthermore, an LSGT will help to create and promote the uniqueness and identity of the school, something in which all stakeholders can take pride. Through trainings and practice, LSGT members will acquire the knowledge, skills, and attitude necessary to ensure the success of their school around the following issues: curriculum and instruction, school operations, school improvement, financial and resource allocation, and personnel. Finally, throughout your time on the LSGT, you will continually assess and monitor your team's effectiveness in order to provide feedback and help one another improve. The school improvement plan guides the school's work. A quality plan looks at data to determine what is working and what is not working. Strategies and actions are planned to address areas of need and to support areas of progress. Progress is monitored to ensure that interventions are working. Resources are allocated to ensure success. The LSGT is involved in planning and monitoring of the school improvement work. In doing this, the team may discover they need to leverage the privilege of flexibility to better meet the needs of students. When there is a principal vacancy, the LSGT will be involved in one of several ways to identify and hire a new leader. Each school district has defined the method of principal hiring involvement in a way that works for the district. The LSGT could narrow down the 3 top candidates and present to the superintendent for consideration, or the superintendent could narrow down to the top 3 candidates and present to the team. Representatives of the LSGT could serve on an interview committee. There are a number of ways for LSGT involvement. Each school district determines the way for involvement. The involvement is described in the district's charter system application. Financial operations and resource allocation vary in each district. It is important for LSGT members to be aware of the budgeting and resource allocation at the district and school levels. Informed decisions about which initiatives to financially support can be made easier if LSGT members understand the decision-making context. Members should understand at a high level the flow of federal, state, and local funds to the district and the flow of these funds to the school. Since 2009, each charter system has earned a quality basic education allotment between $87 to $100 per student to support charter system work. This amount is determined annually by state officials based on the availability of funds. LSGTs should be aware of how these funds are spent locally. In some cases, districts allocate a portion of the funds for LSGTs to spend on initiatives indicated in their school's improvement plan. Still, other districts have set up a fund allowing schools or LSGTs to apply for grants that support school initiatives. School operations in a school district cover many areas. Each district determines its own way to involve LSGT membership. Areas to consider are safety, facilities, parent involvement, code of student conduct, and technology. Involvement is defined in the school's charter system application. The Georgia Department of Education has defined quality standards for LSGTs. Place the presentation on pause to review these expectations. This next segment will address member roles and responsibilities. To serve on an LSGT is a privilege. Members represent the public trust of the school community. To honor that trust, please be punctual. Don't waste other people's time. Be prepared. If there is an advanced reading of material you need to know prior to the meeting, honor your community by reading ahead. Actively participate in discussions. Don't just sit there. Every voice is important. The best decisions happen when varied perspectives are presented and heard. Effectively communicate with the entire team. Make sure you are heard and the other people are heard. Be non-judgmental and respectful of others. Even if you don't agree with what is being said, someone else may think it is important. If a vote occurs and it was not your preference, it is important that you commit to the choice of the majority and you support the decision in public. Maintain a focus on the team's agenda. Do not get sidetracked to topics that are not on the agenda. If there is a topic you want to have discussed, suggest that it be included in the next meeting's agenda so that the others can be prepared. Be mindful of what is best for students. The whole purpose of the LSGT is to support the achievement of all students. Finally, follow through with assigned tasks. It takes the whole team to have an effective and productive LSGT. Be part of the solution, not the problem. Over time, membership of the LSGT will change. Sometimes after members are elected or appointed, they may need to be removed from the LSGT. On occasion, people change positions, such as no longer a principal or no longer a parent at the school. Now and then, members are unable to attend meetings, or they attend and do not participate. In other cases, members of the LSGT prove to have a conflict of interest. The most unfortunate is a member who violates the Code of Conduct. In each charter system application, a Code of Conduct is adopted to describe how and why members would be removed from the LSGT. These terms should be outlined in the district charter system bylaws. The integrity of the LSGT process is very important. Many teams sign an annual code of conduct to remind each other of their shared expected behavior. Some teams set ground rules for operating as a team. An annual review of the roles and responsibilities of the LSGT is important. Most charter systems have a central office staff member assigned to support this important work. The Foundation has resources as well. Be sure to seek out support if it is needed. Conducting the business of the LSGT can be challenging. For most of us, it is not something that we are trained to perform. There are resources available to support the team's work. The Foundation supports charter systems through serving as a conduit for innovation, training for local boards, superintendents, and school governance teams, advocacy, and collaboration with other educational support groups. If you are viewing this presentation to fulfill training requirements for your charter system, please complete the registration and pulse check information about the content of this presentation. The document is located on the Charter System Foundation website. Please submit this information to your charter system coordinator. Thank you for your participation.